Here is what's coming up in today's Frontline compilation. A Ukrainian Special Operations Patrol moves under pre-dawn fog, then explodes into motion as they breach a Russian hide and drag stunned prisoners to waiting trucks. How they vanish before reinforcements arrive demands a closer look. Thermal sights lock onto a Russian squad marching through reeds. Moments later, loitering munitions arc in from above, scattering the patrol. The real surprise is how many strikes land before anyone dives for cover. A patrol boat drifts along foggy banks, crews scanning tree lines in tense silence when muzzle flashes rake the hull, snapping the camera toward a spray of blood. What follows as Hydra beaches under fire is captured in real time. An FPV drone climbs to meet a Russian Zala scout hovering overhead. On impact, both machines burst into swirling shards. It isn't the only duel. By night's end, 3 more Z-20s spin out of control. This is real footage, no effects, just raw moments from the battlefield. Subscribe to stay updated on every Frontline report and stick around to see it all unfold. Let's get into it. Under overcast skies near Marinka, a column of Russian troops on motorcycles punch through a hedgerow, thinking speed equals safety. The drone overhead disagrees, tracking their formation at 60 km per hour before an FPV charge dives into the point man's rear pannier. The blast topples 3 bikes, scattering riders into knee-deep wheat. Moments later, a second drone threads the dust cloud and detonates inside a sidecar, proving the tactic's vulnerability to aerial observers. Ukrainian analysts estimate motorcycle losses have tripled this month, yet more convoys roll out tomorrow. Will any of them break the pattern? Southeast of Kharkiv, the 15th Mobile Border Guard Unit wheels an MT-12 Repairer smoothbore into a hedgehog of sandbags and dials in a 1,900-meter lid on a retreating BTR-82A. The 100mm high explosive projectile leaves the muzzle at 895 meters per second and finds the vehicle mid-road, ejecting the commander like a rag doll. 30 seconds later, a 9M117 Bastion laser-guided round locks onto the second APC, confirming reports that the unit received 20 of the missiles in April. Observers note the guns relocate after each shot. By the time Russian drones arrive, the position is empty. Recon cameras above Robotyne catch the first movements of Kiev's summer thrust. Staggered columns of M2 Bradleys and Leopard 2s punching shallow corridors while artillery lays a 180 shell smokescreen along the Polohi highway. The released drone reel shows precision strikes on 3 self-propelled howitzers and an ammunition bunker, but omitted is the HIMARS salvo that closed the only rail spur feeding the sector at 0315. Meteorological data from that morning records 22 degrees Celsius crosswinds, ideal for the newly supplied M483A1DP ICM bomblets. Tonight the same corridors widen, the real push is coming before dawn. A lone Ural 4 320 truck, tow bar hitched to a D-30 howitzer, idles too long on an open farm track near Kremina. Thermal optics aboard a Ukrainian Shark UAV spot the convoy and feed coordinates to an operator 8 kilometers away. The first FPV drone tears through the canvas canopy, igniting stacked propellant charges. Flames spray onto the timber trail legs, cooking the howitzer's hydraulic recoil pack before crews can unlimber. Satellite imagery later shows only the split carriage and a blackened crater where the truck stood. A replacement battery is en route, but will it arrive unscathed? Hidden inside a shattered schoolhouse outside Kupiansk, a Russian volunteer corps gunner braces his cord 12.7mm on a chipped windowsill. The 25-kilogram weapon barks rhythmic bursts, its muzzle brake channeling dust devils down the corridor as Tracer arcs toward a Russian trench 1.3 kilometers away. Open source imagery identifies his ammunition as BS-47 API, capable of penetrating 20mm of steel at that distance, enough to wreck a BMP's optics. RVC telegram channels claim he fired 200 rounds before shifting by tunnel to a new hide. Eyes are watching the exit. Can he slip the net? A tin-roofed warehouse near Nikopol erupts in sparks as a Ukrainian-built thermite drone arcs through the rafters. Below, 3 Russian soldiers scramble, unloading rifle mags in panic, while white-hot globules set ammunition crates ablaze. Temperatures peak above 2,400 degrees Celsius, melting a PKM bipod and fusing magazines into a single slag. Fire damage reports later show the building stored mortar rounds, explaining the secondary detonations captured on film. Nearby units have started stringing fishing line nets over supply depots, but can improvise mesh, stop a drone diving at 150 kilometers per hour. Over the N00 highway tree line near Chasiv, a K2 Battalion reconnaissance quadcopter spots a Russian platoon sheltering by a drainage ditch. One by one, low-cost Borsuk FPV drones streak in, each with a 1.2 kilogram PTAB 2.5 warhead salvaged from legacy cluster bombs. The splash radius forces the infantry to scatter, yet smoke footprints show at least 6 direct hits before any survivors return fire. According to battalion logs released after the strike, 38 drones were launched in the 40-minute window, proof that massed loitering munitions are now standard doctrine. Tonight's patrol may find the ditch empty, but will it be any safer? Near Stepov, infrared footage spots a Buk M1 Teller idling under camouflage nets, its 9 M38 missiles silhouetted against an early dawn skyline. A single Excalibur 155mm guided shell, spotted by Aerorozvidka observers, lands meters away, shredding the radar mast and cooking off the ready box. Secondary explosions torch a 9S-35 fire control vehicle parked too close, effectively blinding the local air defense grid. OSINT trackers note the gap allowed Ukrainian Su-25s to loiter an extra 8 minutes over the sector the next day. Russian engineers rush a replacement launcher into position. Can they patch the hole before another HIMARS hunt begins? The Dnipro backwater near Kozachi Laheri is mirror still when Hydra unit's patrol boat noses past a sunken barge. Thermal viewers pick up faint heat blooms in the reed bed too late. 4 PKM teams open fire, severing the gunner's headset cable and riddling the bow. Bleeding and with the engine coughing, the coxswain throws the craft into reverse, churning mud until clear water appears. Once aground on a sandbar, surviving SOF dive overboard to form a hasty perimeter, counting 2 KIAs and 1 camera operator clinging to a tourniquet. Reinforcements rush downstream, but will they reach the ambush site before nightfall? In a trench network outside Avdiivka, Russian sentries hunker against an artillery-scarred berm as a Ukrainian scalpel drone hovers overhead, waiting its turn. Audio from the camera mic captures at least 12 detonations in under 2 minutes, each spaced precisely to avoid sympathetic charges, wrecking the next strike. Psychologists attached to the 109th Territorial Brigade estimate such tempo induces acute combat stress within 5 salvos. Even if casualties remain low, will shattered morale force a withdrawal before armor ever shows up? Footage captures a volunteer assault company attached to Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade. The platoon is largely Colombian, but its ranks also include fighters from Peru, Brazil, Mexico, Italy, Poland, and Zimbabwe. They advance in loose file across churned ground, national flags stitched to mismatched uniforms yet moving under a single Ukrainian call sign. Scenes like this underscore how, since the war's first weeks, foreign volunteers have steadily reinforced Kyiv's forces, filling frontline gaps and adding global accents to radio traffic. The camera holds on their mixed patches before cutting away, mission undisclosed. Mid-afternoon skies over Bakhmut shimmer as a Ukrainian Fury quadcopter hunts a hovering Zala Z-20 relay drone. The pilot toggles to a tungsten ball payload designed to shred carbon fiber props. Micro video shows impact at 210 km per hour, severing a rotor and sending the Z-20 into a flat spin. 2 minutes later, another strike downs a Zala 421-16E, carrying a 4G repeater, blinding Russian artillery observers. Engineers know each Fury airframe costs under $600, 1/10 the price of a single Z-20 battery pack. With economics on Kyiv's side, can Moscow adapt before its sky eyes go dark? Farm tracks near Svetov betray fresh tread marks leading to a repurposed K700 tractor clad in boilerplate doors and welded rebar cages. Operators of the 427th Rorog Regiment Q FPV drones, first puncturing the makeshift armor, then targeting a 200-liter diesel drum bolted behind the cab. Flames lick through plywood shielding, forcing the driver to bail under small arms fire. Remarkably, the machine endures 3 hits before its gearbox locks, proving the resilience of agricultural chassis. If tractors can soak more punishment than IFVs, will field workshops turn every vehicle into a rolling bunker? GoPro footage captures 22-year-old James Scott Rees Anderson from Banbury, Oxfordshire, stumbling forward with his rifle lowered as Russian soldiers rush from birch cover in Russia's Kursk region. Anderson, serving with Ukraine's International Legion, lifts his hands high while surrender commands crackle in Russian. The camera jolts as he is pinned face down, wrists cinched with cord, then hauled toward a waiting MTLB. 10 silent seconds later, the frame freezes on his stunned expression. The precise moment a British volunteer becomes a prisoner. Just before dawn near Magritsa, Kraken Regiment scouts crawl to within 30 meters of a Russian dugout while artillery masks their approach. Helmet video shows operators breaching with suppressed MSBS Grot rifles, flashbangs popping in narrow trench angles. In 47 seconds, they cuffed the 3 stunned conscripts and slipped through a culvert marked the night before by drone-dropped chem lights. Russian QRF arrives 10 minutes later, finding only discarded zip ties and footprints in marsh grass. After such a seamless snatch, how lightly will forward posts sleep tonight? A static camera captures Nomad unit's field-rigged laser battery, just one 30 kW beam emitter on a pickup, lighting a faint haze as it tracks an incoming Lancet 3 drone. After a tense 4-second burn, the munition flares and tumbles, debris scattering over open steppe. Operators cheer, but the clip ends with a dashboard readout showing a lengthy cooldown cycle, a reminder that this first-generation system can be overwhelmed by numbers. GoPro video, lightly recorded during the Kursk offensive, shows a turret gunner from the north side group behind a .50 cal during an assault on entrenched Russian positions. To either side of the turret gunner's position, dismounted infantry can be seen preparing to maneuver forward. In the background, multiple large explosions can be seen. A MiG-29 of the 114th Tactical Aviation Brigade streaks at Mach 0.9 over the Dnipro Flats, jettisoning a pair of GBU-39Bs from improvised BRU-61 racks 80 kilometers from target. Infrapod imagery later confirms both 93-kilogram warheads pierce a pontoon ferry at Nova Kakhovka, severing a vital crossing for 48 hours. The jet lands at Myahorod with 90 seconds of fuel to spare. Deep strike margins this razor-thin beg the question: how far can pilots push the fulcrum without a dedicated tanker fleet? Bodycam footage from the Lyut Police Brigade shows officers advancing on a Russian infantry position in Toretsk. Although the brigade fights interchangeably with infantry units, nearly every soldier in frame is a Ukrainian police officer or recent recruit. They execute a wartime no-knock warrant. 2 anti-tank mines wired as a breaching charge blast the entryway, and the team pours through the smoke in blue-trimmed plate carriers. A voice on the radio calls it their notice to disappear, just before the clip cuts. Archive gun tape from Sangin shows Task Force Spartan medics strapping a wounded rifleman to the stub wing of an AH-64D after dust storms grounded Medevac Black Hawks. The Apache covers 14 kilometers to Camp Leatherneck in 6 minutes at 120 knots. Though NATO doctrine forbids external patient carriage, Ukrainian crews hint they may revive the tactic for hot LZs on the Dnipro front. Will history's hard-learned improvisation return to save lives under today's skies? Over a maze of slit trenches near Orikhiv, a Nomad platoon observes 3 Russian soldiers sharing noodles beside a T-72 when a Ukrainian Mavic drops an RKG-1600 charge right between them. The shockwave is grisly, yet the operator calmly reloads with 3 D-printed fins and circles back. His second bomb lands on a runner diving for cover, captured in slow motion as shrapnel seeds the Parker. According to 60th Brigade logs, 32 kills were credited during this sortie. Accomplished with $50 worth of plastic and TNT. Night vision shows fresh replacements marching in. Do they know what stalks the sky? That's the last frame from today's combat reel. This is M6 Archive, straight shots from the front. Subscribe, share and sound off below so you don't miss the next drop.